Welcome to Social Security Post, your go-to source for the latest updates on Social Security, SSDI, SSI, Medicare, and SNAP. If you're wondering how much more you'll receive in your next Social Security check, or how inflation and Medicare premiums might affect your benefits, this video is for you. Today, we're unpacking everything, from new COLA projections to the hidden costs you might not have expected. This isn't just about numbers, it's about what ends up in your pocket each month. We'll also break down the real impact of recent inflation data and how upcoming Medicare changes could quietly wipe out your raise. If you have any questions about your benefits, whether you're a retiree, disabled, a surviving spouse, or on SSI, drop them in the comments. We'll answer as many as we can. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Social Security Post, and turn on notifications so you never miss a critical update. Your engagement helps keep this information flowing to the people who need it most, especially those who may not know how changes in Washington affect their monthly checks. Now, let's dig into the new numbers and projections that could reshape your financial picture in 2025. Social Security benefits affect a wide range of Americans, and this video's updates apply to nearly all of them. Whether you're receiving retirement benefits, SSDI due to a disability, survivor or spousal payments, supplemental security income, SSI, or even benefits from the VA or the Railroad Retirement Board, RRB, the upcoming cost of living adjustments, COLA, and inflation reports will impact you. When we talk about benefit increases, we're not just talking about retirees. These changes affect over 70 million Americans. It's important that every single one of you understands how these updates affect your unique situation, because small changes can mean big differences over time. The potential for a raise in monthly payments has a real impact on day-to-day life. From groceries to gas, housing to healthcare, every dollar counts. Especially for those on fixed incomes, any increase, however small, can mean the difference between making ends meet or falling behind. While inflation has hurt many households, the Social Security COLA is designed to help benefits keep pace. But are these raises actually doing enough? As you'll see in this video, the answers are more complicated than they seem. The Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, CPIWF, is the gold standard for determining Social Security COLA. This metric doesn't just track inflation in general, it specifically tracks the kinds of expenses people on fixed incomes often face, such as housing, medical care, food, and transportation. According to the latest data released, the CPIW rose 0.4% month-over-month and 2.6% year-over-year for June. At a glance, this may not seem significant, but it signals a trend that directly influences your future payments. This report provides a snapshot of where inflation is heading, and while the June numbers won't be used directly in the COLA formula, we'll explain that soon, they are a preview of what's coming. Rising prices on daily essentials, especially when driven by new import costs, tend to accelerate quickly. And that's exactly what we're beginning to see. Understanding the CPIW is critical because it's not just a policy metric, it determines how much your Social Security check will grow or fail to grow next year. One of the hidden forces behind the latest inflation spike is tariffs. With renewed trade tensions, particularly on goods imported from China, the costs of many everyday items are rising rapidly, just not always in ways that make headlines. When you dig into the fine print of the inflation reports, you start to see a major trend. Imported goods are seeing some of the steepest price hikes. That includes items like clothing, electronics, prescription medications, and even parts needed for cars and home repairs. These quiet increases don't always show up in flashy headlines, but they absolutely impact the CPIW and by extension, your benefits. As more price increases are passed on to consumers, inflation indexes will continue to rise. This could mean a higher than expected COLA in 2025. But it also means your costs are rising just as fast, if not faster, than your income. This creates a frustrating tug-of-war for many beneficiaries who feel like they're running in place financially, even when they're told they're getting a raise. To truly understand how your Social Security COLA is calculated, you need to know the exact months that matter: July, August, and September. These are the 3 months that the Social Security Administration uses to determine how much of a raise you'll get for the following year. The data from June, which was just released, doesn't directly count toward your COLA, but it's still important. It helps us spot the trend and anticipate what may happen in the official COLA calculation period. The COLA number announced in October is based on the average CPI-W from July through September compared to the same 3 months from the previous year. So, as of now, we're in the most critical time of year for Social Security recipients. What inflation does in these 3 months will determine how much more you'll receive in January 2026. That's why we're closely watching every monthly report from now through September. It's not just data, it's your paycheck. The latest projection for the 2026 COLA increase is 2.8%, up from last month's 2.5%. While that might not sound like a big change, it represents a growing trend. These projections are built on current inflation data and are likely to continue climbing if prices keep rising. If inflation picks up faster in July, August, and September, we could see the final COLA jump above 3%. Some experts are already suggesting it might land as high as 3.5% if price spikes continue into late summer. It's important to remember that while 2.8% may seem small, for many seniors, it represents the only raise they get all year. There are no bonuses, no promotions, and no other major income changes, so even a few dollars more each month makes a difference. However, the concern is that if inflation continues to accelerate, but COLA fails to keep up, the purchasing power of Social Security checks will still decline. That's why we track these numbers so closely. It's not just about hope. It's about holding the system accountable. Run, Oklahoma. Let's get into the actual numbers because percentages don't always feel real until you see how they affect your check. If the projected 2.8% COLA goes through, here's what that would look like monthly. A $600 check would increase by $17, a $700 check by $20, $800 by $22, $900 by $25, and $1,000 by $28. At the higher end, someone receiving $1,200 monthly would get about $34 more, and the average Social Security recipient with a $2,000 check would see about $56 more per month. These may seem modest, but for someone on a tight fixed income, every extra dollar counts. However, even with these increases, many beneficiaries feel like they're falling behind. Rent, groceries, utilities, and transportation all cost significantly more than they did even a year ago. A $20 or $30 raise often vanishes in the first few days of the month. That's why understanding both the gains and the hidden losses, like rising Medicare premiums, is critical. You may be told you're getting more, but what you actually take home can tell a very different story. Here's where things start to get concerning. While your COLA may go up by 2.8%, Medicare Part B premiums are projected to rise by $21.50, jumping from $185 to $206.50 monthly. That's a substantial increase, and in many cases, it will completely wipe out the COLA raise. For instance, someone getting a $700 Social Security benefit may see their $20 COLA increase eaten entirely by the Medicare hike, leaving them with a net gain of $0. Or worse, a net loss if their healthcare costs rise too. This has been a growing problem for years. Social Security benefits rise modestly, but Medicare premiums increase at a faster pace, creating a squeeze on retirees and disabled Americans. What should feel like a raise turns into disappointment or even frustration. And because Medicare premiums are automatically deducted from most Social Security checks, many recipients won't notice the change until their payments arrive lighter than expected. It's critical to prepare for this now so that January's benefit statement doesn't come as a shock. But let's break this down further. Imagine your COLA gives you an extra $25, but your Medicare Part B premium goes up by $21.50. That leaves you with just $3.50 more per month. And that's assuming no other costs go up, which is rarely the case. Inflation continues to impact housing, food, prescription drugs, and transportation. The truth is, many Social Security beneficiaries are effectively breaking even, or worse, despite official increases in their benefit amounts. This imbalance hits the most vulnerable groups hardest: seniors on fixed incomes, people with disabilities, and widows who rely solely on survivor benefits. What's the point of an annual raise if it barely keeps pace with rising expenses? That's the question many Americans are asking right now. COLA is supposed to protect purchasing power, but if healthcare costs aren't kept in check, it turns into a cycle of gains that are lost before they're ever felt. It's time for policymakers to recognize that a real cost of living adjustment means accounting for what's taken away, not just what's added. Now for some cautious optimism. If inflation continues its upward trajectory, especially due to import costs and summer fuel prices, we could see COLA climb above 3%. Some projections suggest a final rate between 3.2 and 3.6%. That would translate to an increase of $64 to $72 on a $2,000 monthly benefit. For many, that would be the most meaningful raise in years, especially if it outpaces rising Medicare premiums. However, this outcome is far from guaranteed. If inflation cools unexpectedly in August or September, the COLA could land closer to the 2.8% projection we've discussed. It's a game of watching and waiting, but with high stakes. The next CPIW reports, released in mid-August and mid-September, will be key indicators. No matter where the final number lands, staying informed is your best defense. Knowledge is power, especially when it affects the income you rely on to live. As we wrap up, it's clear that Social Security recipients face a delicate balance: modest benefit increases on one hand and rising healthcare and living costs on the other. Whether the 2026 COLA ends up at 2.8%, 3.5%, or somewhere in between, what really matters is how much of that you get to keep after Medicare deductions and inflation. That's why it's more important than ever to stay up to date on these changes and plan accordingly. If this video helped clarify things for you, please like the video, subscribe to Social Security Post, and leave your questions in the comments, whether it's about SSDI, Medicare, SSI, SNAP, or retirement planning. We're here to respond, support, and help you stay informed. Your benefits matter, your financial future matters, and we're proud to help you protect it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.